This is The Engine Room, Home Church Scotland's leadership podcast. Leadership is the driving force behind any organisation. Thanks for joining us as we share some of the things that we've learned on our leadership journey.
Hello. I'm Becca. I'm the youth pastor here, and I hate talking in front of people. So when Dave asked me if I would lead Engine Room, I had no thank you locked and ready in my head, and I opened my mouth and I said yes. So I was betrayed by my own tongue. But we're going to pray before we kick off. Father God, we just thank you that we can gather here and we can learn from you. God, we just thank you that we have the privilege to be here safely and to lead into your word, God. So I just ask that you help us to grow. Guide us in areas that you think we need to develop, God. And just encourage us this morning to be pointed towards you. In your holy name. Amen. Okay, so this is part 3 of our habits series. And today we're going to talk about habits that you maybe need to break. Most people in life have similar goals, similar aspirations. Some pretty big ones, like we all kind of want to be healthy. We all maybe want to be happy. I don't know anyone that wants to be unhappy. We all want to be financially stable. We want our families to be healthy and happy and financially stable. So nobody wants to live a life that's the opposite of those things. You don't aspire for that. Nobody wants a life that's passionless. If you think about your jobs, nobody, when they're hunting for a job, wants one that they don't want, if that makes sense. I've got my sister living with me right now, and she is currently hunting for we're calling it our big girl job. So like her main career, and she's like going through a list of all the things that she'd want. So she wants to have like a good work-life balance. She wants a job that she is passionate about. She wants a job that she has the skills for, but she's not looking for a job that is going to underpay her or is going to leave her feeling like she's dreading going every day. She's not aspiring for that. Nobody sets out maybe to be addicted to things. They don't wake up and think, I'm going to try have an alcohol addiction today. I'm going to see how that pans out. Like that's not a decision that you make, and nobody wants that. They don't desire maybe for their life to go astray. So usually when your life does go astray, it's not by one decision, one small decision. It could be one big decision, but usually not by one small decision. It's usually by like a series of small bad ones. And they gradually over time steer you out of the path or direction you're supposed to be going in. And sometimes you don't even know it until you're all the way over here. And you think, how did I get up all the way over here? And quite often when you see someone has ended up all the way over here, you can summarize it by their conclusion. So like, he was fired today, but that wasn't it. He didn't just go into work and become fired. He was maybe late. But then being late once wouldn't get you fired. It was maybe a continuous pattern of being late. And then there would have been like continuous decisions in his morning that would have made him late frequently. So it's never just like the end thing that is described. So when we are summarizing how we've ended up, sometimes I think we forget it's not about the big thing. It's about the little things that made us get there. And we're going to look at partly Samson today, in Judges 16 verse 1. And that's when Samson decided that he was going to go to Gaza to see a prostitute. So Gaza is actually 25 miles away from Samson's hometown. And that was enemy territory for him. So that was like a place where he shouldn't be going. But 25 miles he walked towards that city, to a city that hated him, to see a prostitute. Now that is 56,250 steps for people that like their step counts. That is 56,250 steps, right? That is 7 hours of walking. I have never walked continuously for 7 hours. Maybe has anyone here done that? Wow.
I have to say I was 18.
Yeah. A sponsored walk. Yeah. I think I've done 4 hours of continuous walking, and not again. That was a lot for me. But that's a long time for you to be walking in the wrong direction. Like, that's a long time for you to be maybe wrestling with God on your decision of where you're going. That's a long time for God to maybe be prompting you to turn around. That's a long time for you to maybe ignore God if you keep going there. That's 7 hours. So when I was thinking about this story about Samson walking in that direction, I was like, he's obviously not an overthinker like me, because I would be analysing every single move I was making on that. Why am I doing this? Is this the right thing? What are the consequences of this? Like, do you know, when you make a mistake and you overanalyze how you even got there in the first, you're racking your brain. So that was 7 hours that he decided to ignore God and to keep walking. And I was like, how can you do that? But then I think sometimes when people make one decision and it takes them over the line, they think, well, I'm already over it, so I might as well just keep walking. I've already crossed that line, so I might as well just keep walking. But I know I've done that, and I would just like to encourage everyone that that's just not the case. You can always turn around. If you think about the prodigal son, God's always there with open arms if you turn around. So the question I want to ask you guys today is, based on who you want to become, what habit do you need to break? I'm a youth pastor, so we're going to be a bit interactive for 5 seconds, if that's okay. So if you could all stand up with me. Okay, and I would like you to think of the one habit that you have that you want to break, and it's in front of you. And you're just going to do a 180 turnaround. And that's all you have to do. You have to decide that you want to turn around and that you want to turn away from it. And that's it. You have to make that decision and you have to stick to it and turn around. Okay, you guys could stay that way because it might make it easier for me to continue preaching. No, turn back around and sit down. So, James 1:21 says, therefore, get rid of all moral filth and the evil that is so prevalent, and humbly accept the word planted in you, which can save you. Good habits are genuinely much more difficult to start. The reward is greater, usually. It's usually further down that you see it, but they're genuinely much harder to start, and bad habits tend to be easier, maybe a bit more convenient, and you maybe don't notice the negative impact they have until further down. Last year, I don't know how many of you guys know my husband Harold is like a big, massive fitness guy. So he's right into his football and healthy things, and I am not. So last year we decided we would start Pilates. Yeah, I know. It sounds great. And I thought, do you know what? We don't have any time because we've got a 2-year-old. So we'll get up before he gets up and we'll do half an hour of Pilates. And so it was like 5:30, 6 we were going to get up. And we did it for one day. One day, and then the next day my alarm clock went off and I was like, oh, no. So good habits are really, really difficult to start and continue. So bad habits are much easier, but how do we break them? We have to first acknowledge them. You can't break a bad habit if you don't even acknowledge that you have it. So we have to acknowledge it, and we have to acknowledge what kind of habit it is. It could be an attitude that you have, a bad attitude. Maybe you are quite moany. Maybe you complain a lot. Maybe you're pretty negative. Like your mind just... sometimes I'm pretty bad for that. Just immediately go into the negatives. Maybe you're a bit gossipy, but maybe you mask it by saying that you're just seeking advice from other people about a situation. Maybe you lie. I remember we took the youth to Rock Nations 2 years ago, and there was a preacher, he was talking about when he was wanting to get really plugged into church, and he was so driven for it, and he got a message from the church asking for help, and he was like sitting on his couch with his blanket watching Netflix, and he was like, sorry, too busy, well, I'm praying for you guys, just lying, because he didn't want to. But maybe you guys have an issue with that. Maybe your bad habit is something digital. Maybe it's linked to how much you're on your phone. I know that's a big one for our generation. Now you get a reminder of like how much time you've spent on your phone, and it's like quite crippling. 4 hours worth of your day screen time. Maybe it's TV shows. I'm pretty bad for wanting to continue until it's finished, because we have that now. You can just watch a whole series. You don't have to wait till next week. Or maybe it's watching stuff that you shouldn't be on your phone because you have access to it. Maybe it's a bad habit of using a substance, from illegal stuff all the way to just maybe eating, indulging too much. Like, there's lots of bad habits we can have. I know I have lots that I would like to break. I'm a really bad procrastinator, like terrible. I feel like I can't actually do things unless I've got like 1 hour to do it, and then all of a sudden I'm the most productive person you'll ever see. Pretty bad for that. But I know when you're sitting here, you can think you have lots of bad habits and that there's lots you need to break. But try just one. If we try and tackle them all, then we're not going to get any of them because we'll be too overwhelmed. So if we just focus on one bad habit that we would like to change or break, and we'll see. So where to start? Make the bad habit difficult for you to do. In Proverbs 4:14, it says, "Do not set foot on the path of the wicked or walk in the way of evildoers." Every bad habit starts with a trigger. I think Dave spoke about this last week. Starts with a trigger that leads to an action that then leads to the reward or the pleasure, and then there's just this loop that keeps going on. So you have to remove the trigger. You have to remove the trigger to interrupt the action. So there's 5 triggers to look at. There's place, time, mood, moment, and people. So place, you maybe fall into certain habits when you're in a specific place or a specific setting. Maybe you drink a lot when you're around your friends at their house, but you're not going to do that in church because it's a setting you wouldn't do it in. Maybe you have terrible language when you're at a football game, but you wouldn't when you're in church. So maybe it's the place that enables this habit. Maybe it's the time. Maybe you find yourself, maybe late at night, that's when you watch things that you maybe shouldn't when you're alone. Maybe place and time go together quite often. If you look at the story of David in 2 Samuel 11, verse 1, it says, "In the spring, at the time when kings go off to war, David sent Joab out with the king's men and the whole Israelite army." In the spring, at the time when kings go off to war, David stayed home. So David was somewhere that he shouldn't have been in the first place. And you go on to know that he had a guy murdered because he slept with his wife. But he wouldn't have been there to see her bathing if he had gone off to war where he was supposed to be. So quite often, the time and place go hand in hand, and that's what leads to a lot of bad decisions. Sometimes your mood can trigger you. If you're hungry, if you're angry, some of those go together. If you're hangry, if you're lonely, if you're tired, I think this can be when we're quite weak, maybe quite vulnerable. If you're feeling hungry, usually all you can think about is food, and anything else makes you quite irritable. If you're angry, your patience very low. If you're lonely, maybe you're just looking for something. If you're tired, exhausted, again, patience, you maybe just don't have any, or no drive or passion, so you just fall into whatever's easy. So hungry, angry, lonely, tired, our mood can affect or be a trigger. Maybe it's a moment. Maybe there's things that happen in your life and you react to that the same way every time. Maybe you have an argument with your spouse and your reaction to that is to go and tell everybody what they've done, and that happens frequently. Maybe it's the people. Maybe people are your trigger. This is a big one for me. I think as you get older, you whittle down your friend group to like some core people of who you trust. And even sometimes I think some people that you maybe surround yourself with do impact you negatively and you maybe don't even realise it. Quite often I've found some people I'm around with, I feel myself slipping into a negative mindset because that's their mindset. And quite often I'll get sucked in and I'm involved in these conversations and I'm like, well, actually I don't want to be. So quite often it's the people around you that are influencing you or encouraging you to fall back into a bad habit. Friends and family influence you a lot. And the closer you are to someone, apparently it's statistically proven, the closer that you are to someone, the more likely you are to have the same habits as them. So if you surround yourself with negative people, then no wonder you're going to have a negative mindset. If you surround yourself with people that maybe, I don't know, gossip, then you're maybe going to fall into that. If you surround yourself with people that are drinking, smoking, vaping, then it's much easier for you to fall into that than it is for you to pull them out of that. So we have to be really careful of the people that we surround ourselves with. Proverbs 13:20 says, "Walk with the wise and become wise, for a companion of fools suffers harm." We become like the people that we surround ourselves with. So I think I'm very privileged in my life just now to have a church family like this, of people that encourage you to be better, of friends who are, I quite like to think I have friends that are better than me, because I don't want it to be the other way around. I want someone to always be encouraging me to be better. So I quite like in my life to have people that are maybe further ahead. Maybe they're doing things that I aspire to be doing. So it's easier to lead a life that honours God if our closest friends are doing the same. If their prayer life looks good and they talk about it frequently, it's easy for us to be like, oh, I should probably get better at that. If they maybe, I don't know, are plugged in and serving and maybe we don't, it's easier for you to then do the same when you see the people around you are doing that too. It's hard to live the right life with the wrong people around you. Quite often if you want to do something and other people don't do that or are not doing that, they can make you feel like you shouldn't be. So hard to live the right life with the wrong people around you. 1 Corinthians 15:13 says, "Do not be misled. Bad company corrupts good character." I'm just going to leave that one there. So practical things that we can be doing to break our bad habits. Dave last week was speaking about the snooze alarm, and I am a heavy advocate of a snooze alarm. It's really bad, but I like to tell myself it's not that bad, because what I actually do is I set my alarm 45 minutes before I'm supposed to get up so that I can hit the snooze button. That's really bad. So this week I was like, do you know what? I'm going to change that. I'm going to move my phone. It's not going to start today, because it didn't. It's going to start tomorrow. I'm going to move my phone to the opposite side of my room, so that I have to physically get up to go and hit the snooze button. Then hopefully less likely to go back into bed. Because I feel like when you've left your warm, cozy bed and you're in the cold, it's like, okay, I'm up now. So, yeah, I felt like Dave was speaking to me last week. Maybe you order too much food. Maybe that's one of your bad habits. So how could you practically do something about that? Maybe set budgets. I don't know if you guys have banking apps, but mine's pretty fancy, where I can set a budget for specific things, and it tells me when I need it or when I've gone over it. So we have an eating out budget, and it will tell me when I am close to finishing that budget or if I have gone over it, which is shameful. So maybe you just, I don't know, maybe you like ordering food on Just Eat a lot. That's really convenient. But maybe you should, I don't know, get your friend to change the password and only they know it, so you have to message your pal every time you want to order food. Oh man, that would be guilty. Right. Maybe you do look at inappropriate content on your phone. So maybe you should have, again, a friend who maybe blocks that with a password so that you can't then go and look at that. Maybe you should delete any apps that would lead you to that. So in order for you then to commit to looking at those things, you'd have to go and commit to re-downloading an app. That's another obstacle, I suppose. But a lot of these things, I would say, actually whittle down to maybe just having accountability. If you tell people that there's things that you're struggling with, then they're in it with you. They can check in, see how you're doing. Be open and honest with people that you trust about things that you're struggling with so that they can help you. Have accountability in your lives. The habits that you have right now determine who you're going to be tomorrow. So my question is, do you guys like the direction that your habits are taking you in? God doesn't give us anything that we can't handle. So if there's a habit that you're in right now that you're like, no, this is so hard, there's always a way out. And I would urge for you to talk to someone. Because again, having that accountability, that's even someone else who can be praying for you, who can be maybe speaking into something that you don't even know that they have experience on. So accountability is a big one. Zechariah 4, verse 10 says, "Do not despise these small beginnings, for the Lord rejoices to see the work begin." God can start something special through something really small. I think when you think about these habits, you can think about small ones and they maybe seem small, but God can do a lot with something small. So, yeah, encouraging you guys to make the small changes in your habits today, because they can redefine who you are. They can help us to become who God wants us to be. And often when you practice doing something, you become that thing. My mum used to say, if you walk like a duck, talk like a duck, you're a duck. So I feel like I've carried that my whole life, trying not to waddle too much. But I think if you exercise frequently and you're committed to it, then you become healthy. If you're a musician and you practice, you're a musician because you practice and you're learning and you're growing. If you're, I don't know, praying with your family and doing stuff like that, you're becoming a godly family. The more you do things, the more it's what you become. So I want to encourage everyone this morning that I know it's February and quite often people make their changes at the start of the year, but I don't think it's ever too late to make a change. January was a complete write-off for me because I've been unwell for the past 4 weeks. But that doesn't mean that I can't implement changes that I wanted to at the start of the year now. It's never too late to just make a decision and turn around, make a decision and change and actually commit to it. It takes a lot of willpower and it takes a lot of strength, but thank goodness we have God who gives us his strength. I'm almost finished and it's pretty early, but just want to encourage you. It's not too late. His mercies are new every morning. I don't know if you remember a couple of years ago there was the whole New Year, New Me thing, but the youth are telling me this year it's 2020 Thrive, not 2025. So praying that over everyone today. But yeah, thank you for joining us online. It was great to see everyone. I think we're going to close for some time in the room.
Hey guys, thanks for joining us for the Engine Room. Why not follow or subscribe to this podcast, and feel free to do the same to our social media pages as well as our YouTube channel. Find out more about our church at homechurchscotland.org.